Okay, this is the video from the book, The Holy Grail of Wisdom Quotes by me, Pete Rogers. We're on the letter C, going in alphabetical order. Next is Mason Cooley. He lived from 1927 to 2002. He was a professor of literature. Here's the first quote. The cure for an obsession is to get another one. Yeah, like if your wife divorces, you get a girlfriend. That'll take your mind off it. It's also like the Alcoholics Anonymous. The persons who do the best in Alcoholics Anonymous are the ones who become Christians because they replace their addiction to alcohol to their addiction to religion, and they need something to replace it. It's also why, your default mode network in the middle of your brain is what you tend to think about when you're not doing anything else. And if you're obsessing about the past and the future, which is what you typically do, thinking about your relationships, to get busy with a task, go exercise, go work, it distracts you from anything else. You can only concentrate your conscious mind on one thing at a time. So the cure for an obsession is to get another one. Okay, next one is heroes are born to be troublemakers. I think that only applies when it's considered bad, to be a hero. For example, if you're a hero in sports, like Michael Jordan or something, you get a bunch of awards and all kinds of good things happen to you. On the other hand, if you're a hero in medicine or something, you get a bunch of people pissed off at you because, hey, we're ripping off the pros. Don't get in the way. Yeah, I've had people tell me, recently too, doctors who tell me, Pete, it's good you're not famous. If you became famous, Big Pharma might do something unpleasant to you. So it's good that you're not famous. Okay, I'm like, well, okay, great. You're screwed either way. You're not allowed to get famous where you could potentially make some money with it or do something interesting. So you're forced to stay in the same spot. That's frustrating. It's more fun being an athlete than a scholar. Okay, heroes are born to be troublemakers. Next quote. Genius knows where the questions are hidden. I think there's a lot of truth in that. A lot of times, a genius thing to do is transform a field and to just understand what the small question is. Like McDougall, what is it that we should eat? Answer, starch. Okay, that's a giant observation. All right. How do you learn what causes disease and how to cure disease, chronic disease? Most important thing to do is avoid the medical textbooks because they never give you the answer. All right, Mason Cooley. Art begins in imitation and ends in innovation. That's true. If you want to get good at anything, find the people who are already good at it, learn how they did it, copy what they did at first, and then develop your own style. You want to become an artist, you want to become a painter, a sculptor, a good student. Okay, Mason Cooley continues. Why not is a slogan for an interesting life. Yeah. That's what happened to me when I saw all these guys who did so good on the SAT test on the cross-country team, and I saw them, not being that much better at playing games like Stratego and Risk, Monopoly, and all that stuff. I said, why not me? Why can't I be a good student like these guys? What do they have that I don't have? Mason Cooley continues. Wisdom remembers, happiness forgets. Oh no, this is the same guy, Mason Cooley. Wisdom remembers, happiness forgets. Yeah, you got to let stuff go if you want to get along with people. Or they also say the smart person, he remembers, but he doesn't do anything about it. He doesn't emotionally do anything about it. Okay, reading gives us some place to go when we have to stay where we are. Yeah, there's always something to do if you got a book. I alternate between reading cookbooks and diet books. Many think that assigning blame settles matters. Yeah, women are really good at blame shifting. Like with a wife, you could have 100 times perfect logic and be correct 100%, but she flips the blame. You don't really love me. Why are we together? All this stuff. Okay, you take me for granted. You're just using me. On and on and on. Okay, to understand someone, find out how he spends his money. Yeah, that tells you a lot about a person. On an average month, I'll buy about 12 books, and I'll spend all the rest of my time working. That's my boring life, but I enjoy it. Let's see. Many think, okay, we already did that one. Good books do not make a person wiser or happier, only more conscious. I think that's an understatement. You learn a lot of stuff from good books. A lot of times, though, it only helps you understand something that already happened. But I do think reading fiction helps you. It makes you more articulate. I think it makes you more funny. It gives you a lot of life lessons. It's a chance to time travel to another world when a novel was written, for example. A lot of times history gives me historical precedents that I go by. Okay, clothes make a statement, a costume tells a story, and that's all Mason Cooley. But, I would say how you dress affects how people treat you. Like I don't leave my house unless I'm dressed nice. In the past, I had times when I go out in a t-shirt and people treat me like a bum. So I don't leave my house unless I'm dressed nice. When I go to work, I wear the work uniform, And then if I go to the store though, even if it's on my day off, I'll wear a tie to go to the store just because I know from experience I get treated better. It's just better. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. That might sound like overdoing it, but I know from experience it's worth it to do that. Okay, we're going to go to our next person here is Calvin Coolidge. So Calvin Coolidge was a previous presidente, and I love this one quote for him. And I had this quote, was real prominent when I was a young man. It was on some of my books, and I liked it. I kept it on my wall. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a cliche. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Okay, so there's a lot of truth in that. Like for doctors, the average doctor is not that bright, has an IQ about 120. They're hardworking, they're real conformists, simple-minded, they trust whatever they're told, they do as they're told. They're kind of like a bunch of accountants. I don't know, they're very obedient. They follow the rules. They never question the rules. Don't get me wrong, I was just teasing about accountants there, but I think you get my drift. Anyways, somebody who's really going to do something, there's something about them and their personality. Like I've seen wrestlers who became great. And, some of them had great talent, but a lot of times what their talent was their intensity, their dedication, their desire to excel. Okay, let's see, another quote, ongoing with Calvin Coolidge. In life, there is nothing more common than talent and intelligence. Yeah, I know tons of doctors with high IQs too, the real smart ones. Like I'd say a smart doctor, somebody with an IQ about 135 to 145. Usually they just do their job well, and they're competent to provide the standard of care. Then they go home and forget about it. They don't read much on their own, hardly at all. If they have to give a conference, they'll prepare for it. They're highly competent. They maintain the standard of care, but they don't bring anything new. And then I know the guys who are the smartest guys. Like, for example, I have an internal medicine friend, and he just told me these two guys are the two smartest internists. And I know both of these internists, okay? And both of them have encyclopedic memories. They'll have memorized the textbooks backwards and forwards. Anything you have a question from that textbook, they can provide that answer to you. But what I would say, they're like prodigies. They're not really like geniuses. A genius transforms the field. A genius goes beyond convention. These guys both just memorize the textbook. Okay, great, you memorize the textbook. Anything in that textbook we can know. But the problem is all the medical textbooks are wrong. They don't contain what causes the disease. They don't contain what cures the disease. So it's good to have the textbook, but you got to go beyond that if you really want to make a difference in helping people. Okay, Coolidge continues. What is missing is passion, persistence, commitment, and dedication. Okay, yeah, the intensity I would use as one word to summarize all that. But what I would also say is thinking outside the box or looking at things in a different way is what it takes to improve things in a new way. Okay, Calvin Coolidge continues. Whenever despotism abounds, the sources of public information are the first to be brought under control. Yeah, all of a sudden you hear about censor you-know-what, the ship. You hear about, oh, that's misinformation. Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. You're not allowed to have an opinion. Okay, when I was a kid at the pool, right on the wall, it said, dare to be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to have a purpose, dare to make it known. Yeah, you gotta have free speech, and you gotta let people talk, even though a lot of times what they say is nonsense. You gotta give people a chance to talk. Okay, Calvin Coolidge, the business of America is business. Calvin Coolidge, your ability to face setbacks and disappointments without giving up will be the measure of your ability to succeed. Yes, there's truth in that, and I think the truth in that comes from it's good to have a religious perspective. It's good to have a strong philosophical sense of purpose for why you're doing what you're doing. It's good to have a sense of destiny, because if you have that, you're going to get smacked down. You're going to run into all kinds of obstacles. It's like when I was at Stanford, I was real lonely. I didn't know anybody. And then I did pretty well. I was a Stanford Student Athlete of the Year, but at Stanford, no one cared about wrestling. It was like kind of almost like gave you no status other than with a few other athletes. And I kind of figured, well, once I leave Stanford, I'm like the all-American boy, a great student, a great athlete. All these people are going to like me. And I kind of got out to med school, and it was like no one cared about me. No one particularly liked me. A couple people hated me. And I was sort of like, gee, no matter what I do, I never will ever have high status again. Like I had high status in high school because I was a great athlete. But at Stanford, wrestlers are like scumbags. California is warm and nice, and everybody's like, why would you want to wrestle? You live in California, man. Why would you want to wrestle? So anyways, it was kind of like, yeah. And then I thought, well, being a doctor is going to be high status. No, being a doctor is not high status in a hospital. There's no big deal. A doctor's a dime a dozen in a hospital. And pretty much most of the people I know are doctors. So it was sort of like, it was like, gee, it was like dawning on me. I'll never be high status again the rest of my life. And people who don't know me think, oh, you guys be a doctor at Harvard. No, it really didn't mean much at Harvard either. I know that sounds weird to say, but it's true. And it's also because I went in the wrong field. If you're in like plastic surgery, that's like being the rock star of medicine. All these girls want to talk to you, or a dermatologist. But being an interventional radiologist, imaging guided surgeon, they're like, what is that? So what? Okay, anyways, Patrick Conroy, he lived from 1945 to 2016. Here's his quotes. We're almost done here. I never had anyone's approval, so I learned to live without it. Yeah, that's how I kind of felt. Okay, well, I'm never going to get credit for anything or status or anything. Well, I'm just going to do whatever I think is right. Then he continues, the great teacher fills you with hope. Yeah, a great teacher kind of inspires you and motivates you. Like I thought medical school was a little bit boring. We just had to memorize all this stuff. They never connected it, put it all together. Then I had this one pathology teacher, and he was so great because he made sense out of everything. And I'm like, wow, this could actually make sense. This could actually fit together in a systematic, logical way. And I love that class. I won the award as the best student in the class for that class. That was the only class they had an award for. But I loved it. And I told my dad, this professor's so great, blah, blah, blah. My dad's like, you're going to remember that guy the rest of your life. I said, no, Dad, there's going to be lots of great professors. My father said, nope, all the great professors you have in your life, you can remember them on one hand. You're lucky if you see 5 of them. And I was like, old man, what does he know? But he was actually right about that, too. Okay, Patrick Conroy continues, the pursuit of greatness means that laziness has no place in your life. Yeah, if you want to do something that you think is great, you're going to just have to bust your tail nonstop. But it's okay. You like it. You want it because you want to achieve your goal. That's why you have to philosophically put a lot of time into thinking out your goals and then just focus all your energy into them, and you'll be happy. But you don't have any time for BS. I don't have a second for watching TV. I don't have any desire for nonsense at all. Zero. Because if I did, I wouldn't be able to do the things I want to do. Okay, and then the next one. Here's a good one. Men are prisoners of their genitalia, and women are the keepers of the keys to paradise. God knew what he was doing when he designed the world. He made men want the two-backed beast a lot more than the woman does, so that gives her one way she can control him. Because if it was just physical strength, a man could always control the woman. But it ain't physical strength. It's, making the two-backed beast, making the relationship work, and the divorce system, and all kinds of other things. So anyways, that's the quotes for today. Hope you found them helpful.